And gonna start recording, and we are recording. Good Tuesday. As we continue throughout the day, it's just gotten better because the man Norm Ordez is here.
That's
right now. Good afternoon. It's Clubhouse Chatter. Here's Norm.
All right, so I was waiting for the man, the myth, and the legend. So we got the man, myself. We got the myth, Jim Campanis. I don't know if he is a myth on the phone. The legend will come after Jim Campanis, and that will be George Genovese. And I don't know, do you know George?
I've met him on numerous occasions when I was a youngster, but it's been a few years for sure.
The guy is a baseball legend in the scouting world, and
no
so
doubt.
He'll come on at 5:15. So let's do a little housekeeping. So I'm wearing Baseball-isms, childhood cancer. They got some childhood cancer stuff out. They got a couple of shirts, hats. They were brought out on Intentional Talk with Kevin Millar and Chris Rose. And so I'm wearing this hat today in honor of all the children fighting cancer. Cancer sucks. I think everybody has lost somebody or known somebody that's had cancer. I know I have, and I think you have too, right, Jim?
Yeah, Maya Campanis, my niece, my first cousin's firstborn, she passed away from leukemia a few years back. It was really, really, really tough.
So I went to high school with a gal named Chrissy Ritter. That's her married name. And so this is for her, I believe she's 9 or 10. This is for little Elise. So out there in Louisiana, Elise, hello. Keep fighting the fight and, keep dancing. You're an inspiration to us all. So our first guest today is Jim Campanis Jr. He's back on the show. Jim, how's it going?
Hey, I'm doing great, Norm. Thanks for having me back on.
Hey, not a problem. Man, a lot of things have happened since the last time I've talked to you.
Yeah, I cut all my hair off, too.
You
Crazy. Did? I look respectable. I cleaned up a little bit, so yeah.
So is Tommy still playing baseball?
The thing is, he goes to my 16-year-old son, Tommy. He's a fabulous musician with hair down to the middle of his back. But he goes to Performing Arts High School with no baseball team, so and it's tough finding a 16 and under travel ball team that's not filled with high school players. So he still wants to play, but I think I might have mentioned that when I was his age, baseball was my passion and music was a fun little hobby. And for him, it's the opposite. He just wants to play baseball as a fun little hobby. Not expecting anything out of it, but he's really serious about his music, and I think he's got a real good shot.
He's pretty damn good.
Yeah, and he's writing music too, and he's already written a song for a reggae, a fairly known reggae guy named Marlon Asher.
Yeah.
So Marlon and I co-wrote that with Tommy. We just sat down on acoustics and made a recording and played it for the record label, and then Marlon fell in love with it and hopped in the seat and started singing it, and we were just blown away. So that's due out next year. So he'll be a songwriter before he's 17. That's pretty cool.
Nice. And so we're going to get a little bit later here. We'll get into that because you've got something going on. And did you say that you're going to drop some news today for us as well?
Well, yeah. So you and I kind of met over Facebook, and I started following your pages, and you were reading some of my baseball stories that I would post occasionally, and often make comments about them. And I have to tell you, these are stories that I tell my buddies when we're sitting around having a beer, And I just thought I'd write them and see what would happen. And I've just last week agreed to terms with a book publishing firm called Summer Games Books. They publish only baseball books, and the guy read my stories and realizes he's going to have to do some work to make it a cohesive unit. But we've agreed to terms to do a book that'll come out on opening day this 2016. Pretty cool.
I cannot wait. And
I can't believe it. It's just so odd that it's just happened this way. And you're just, again, one of the people who just gave me super encouragement. So I really got to thank you for that,
Well, you got some great stories. And, of course, being part of, the Campanis family, I mean, you guys are huge in baseball. I mean, you're up there with the Boones and, there's so many more.
And I was not aware of that, by the way. I really wasn't until I started writing these stories. And then the feedback that I got, and then just the outpouring of, like, new friend requests. And I only let friends be my friends if they're friends with my other friends, you know what I mean?
Yep.
And then I've just, it's grown from, like, my high school and college buddies to all this huge baseball community of well over 1,000 who I can say are, like, all related to you and you're some original baseball buddies that I didn't know personally, we all kind of met over these stories, it's a cool thing,
The baseball,
you should write a book about how I wrote a book, you know what I mean?
No kidding. The baseball community is like no other.
I agree.
And it's like, so here I am. I'm a huge baseball fan. I've worked in minor leagues, kicked around as clubhouse manager, and done some other things. But, I do this show, for the love of it. And, and I run into people like you. I find you guys on the internet, mainly on the internet, Facebook and whatever, and I connect. And it's like, we've met. And, we've
Right.
never met in person, but everybody, like George coming on this evening, I found him on Facebook as well. And George is 90+ years old.
Right.
And, man, the stories are just awesome. And
and his love for the game, it's still there, and like that's why he's 90-something, and he doesn't even know it, and that's how I feel too, and I think that's how you feel.
Yep.
Whatever age you are, like I had my 48th birthday, but that's I had someone at work today who thought I was 10 years younger, and I thought that I won't tell her. I'll just let her think I'm 38. That's cool, but the point is I feel that way, and I think. On the outside, it may not look that way, but I think when I come across to people, there's still that youthful exuberance. George definitely has that at 90 years old. You know
Absolutely.
what I mean? Yeah.
Absolutely. Hey, did you know that we're a month apart, birthday-wise?
Is that right?
Yeah, July 27th for me, same year.
Oh, you're an old man.
Yeah, I'm an old man too. But Jim played for one of the greatest teams ever, had like the North Pole Knicks. And so
right.
It is like one of the best nicknames ever. And they had Santa Claus as their mascot, and the colors were green and red. And so up there in the Alaskan League. So what do you have a quick story that you could tell us about playing with the North Pole Knicks?
Well, one of the funny things is every single guy on that team signed pro. It was a college summer ball team. And it was basically like a couple of sporadic schools, but it was mostly UCLA, Pepperdine. I was the only USC guy, and then there were a couple other guys. But every single guy signed, and one or two, I don't know, but Eric Karros was our first baseman, and Louis Gonzalez was our center fielder.
Wow.
And Doug Simons, a lefty pitcher, was on our team. Scott Lewis, the pitcher for the Angels. I could go on and on, but that team was so freaking talented, and we just killed everybody in the league. Then we went to Omaha for the big tournament and lost 2 in a row to like 2 beer drinking league teams, And it was just, we just couldn't believe our luck. But I learned so much, and following that season, Karros won the batting title in the Pac-10, and I won the home run and RBI title, both on the same team, both being coached by Jim Gaddis, who's famous for the Boys of Summer book, I believe it is.
Yep.
Roger Con. Yeah, and so it's a small world, and I'm still connected to all of those guys, and have talked with them in recent years. But yeah, that was one of the coolest teams, and we lived with families. I dated Miss Teen Alaska. I mean, come on, what kind of a better summer is that?
That's pretty awesome.
So yeah, it was a fun time for sure.
People talk about the Cape Cod League, and the Cape Cod League is awesome. But the Alaskan League, it's underrated, and it's up there.
Yeah,
it's up there on my bucket list. I mean, the Midnight Sun game is one of my bucket list things to do.
Yeah, and it was so weird because we were up there for close to 3 months, and it never got dark, and we would go fishing at 3 in the morning and bright as day. And then we had our final 3 games were in Pullman, Washington, and again, John Olerud was on that team. So we go there, and I actually had a home run off him. And we finished. But what happened is it got dark. It was the weirdest thing. Like, it got dark at 10:30 up there, But it was the first time we had seen the stars in like 3 months, and it was kind of a trip, And again, it was just those experiences, to me, as like someone who, if I sit and tell you all this stuff, it takes 5 minutes. When I write it down, and I can kind of think about it and can condense it and edit and tweak it, so that's what's been the exciting. I didn't even know I had sort of that in me. And I write for part of my job, writing copy for websites and menus or whatever they need me to write something for. But I just did that for professional reasons. I had no idea that I might be able to translate it over into my personal stuff. So that's been another exciting kind of revelation, in the recent past or recent years here.
Well, we're gonna have to do something special for when your book comes out. Have you come back on the show and maybe talk about doing a couple of giveaways with some autographed copies?
Oh,
possibly.
Absolutely. Yeah. And my publisher and I, we actually are talking about those details. Where I might even would like to see about coordinating book signings if there's enough interest in certain geographical areas, and would love to go on like a mini little tour maybe in the summer, next summer, if time allows and expenses allow. But that's something that we've actually talked about, and we're hoping to at least try to make that happen on the west side of the country at a minimum. So
right.
Yeah, let's keep that in mind. I got my buddy Jerry Plowman up in Seattle, going to talk him into doing something up there with me too. So,
nice. Seattle's only a 3.5 4 hour
Facebook
drive.
Friend.
Yeah. All right. So you know what? So enough with this baseball talk. I know I'm a baseball show, but I'm really excited for you because you recently had something pretty damn cool that has happened to you. And I can't say that I'm a huge fan of them, but you know what? They're funky and they're hard, and they have quite the following. And you were credited on the Cottonmouth Kings' new album. Tell us about it.
Yeah, and again, one of those right guy at the right. I tend to have this theme. It's better to be lucky than good, and it's happened my whole life, and I hope it continues. But I was in my advertising job, and I was talking to the singer of the Cottonmouth Kings, because he and I have known each other for many years, and I've done work with him in the past. And we were at my office in El Segundo, and we're talking about his e-commerce, selling T-shirts for him online, and my company could help him grow his sales, et cetera, et cetera. And he's like, hey, is that a guitar in your cubicle? And I was like, well, yeah. He's like, well, and I just happened to have a set list on my desk because we were having a show like that, like a couple nights later, and I was practicing these songs. And so he said, well, play that one and play that one. And I'm like, yeah. So I start playing, and next thing I know, he goes, I want you to write a song for us. I'm going to send you a drum track to you. Our producer's going to send a drum track. So they sent me a drum track, and they're like, make it a punk song. I'm like, well, what do you want? Like, whatever you think, just make it a punk song. We want to do a punk song. I'm like, all right. And I literally just went into my room and mic'd up my amp, and I know how to record and all that, and laid down a few ideas, and I sent them. They're like, oh, the second one, flesh the second one out. And so I did, and I honestly thought nothing of it. And then they sent me back a finished track that just blew my head off, and it's the one that's on the album now. And the album got to number 8 on the rap charts last week. And again, just first of all, I got on the album, my song got on the album, and then, for it to be selling and be popular, and they haven't even really supported it with a tour. It's just, it's such a dream come true. Like, I've always dreamt about, music was always my second love, my first love most of the time, even though I played baseball music, but to actually, get some, kind of feel like I didn't get to the big leagues, but maybe this is kind of another way to get to the big leagues, I guess. I don't know. Just, it's been really exciting for me and my family and my friends. It's a kick. I don't know if I'll make a whole lot of money out of it, but, it's one of those I say I can do. I can say I did it. Kind of a moment, So
absolutely
pretty cool.
And like I said, the Cottonmouth Kings, they have a huge an underground following. I've got friends.
Song, no, I'm sorry. Go ahead.
I've got friends up here that follow them and stuff, and it's not necessarily my genre. I mean, I'll listen to them, but it's not necessarily my type of music. But you know what? I found myself listening to, there's like 22 songs on the album. There's a bunch.
And that's actually the reason they they wanted me, and I thought, why do you want me out of all these millions of guitar players out there? He's like, well, first of all, you have the recording equipment, and you have the know-how, you can do it. But most of all, you play the guitar, and your style is totally different from all the guys that we usually work with. And they already got work out of those guys, and those guys did the predictable, hip hop kind of stuff that they do. And I came at it more from a rock and roll position, and they actually had me change my guitars and tweak my amp because they said it sounded too classic rock the way I would have played, the way my amps are set up. And I actually had to borrow my son's guitar, one of them that's like really thrashy, and turn the volume on. Turn the mids all the way up and the treble all the way up because we wanted a thrashier sound, for this punk song. Mine was a little too Journey, I guess, sounding or something. I don't know,
huh.
but again, that's how that's how records are made now. I didn't go into some fancy studio and spend all night, with chicks and everything around. No, it was me in the bedroom for about 2 hours just getting it right, and now we have a song that has something like 30,000 views on YouTube. It's pretty cool. So,
and it's a catchy song. It really is a catchy song.
Yeah, I didn't know about this. I just thought my part was going to be like the song, and and then they were just going to loop it and maybe have me add. I sent them a bridge, like a breakdown, but I didn't realize that they were going to put in this middle section until I heard it for the first time. And I just thought, that's their style. They kind of were the first to like mash like punk rock and hip hop, which they have deemed rip hop.
Right.
And I think that rip hop comes from ripping bong loads because they do that also very, very much famous for their stance on marijuana and et cetera, et cetera. And they, like I said, they have they worked tirelessly on this album for a couple of years, and so I was very happy to see the initial success. And this album really is just starting to be promoted. So we're looking forward to around Christmas to see some resurgence in sales as well.
So where did your passion for music come from?
I don't know. I honestly think that I was in nearly every state by the time I was 8 because my dad played baseball, and we would drive, to a lot of the like Charleston, West Virginia from Fullerton, California, and then we drive up to Pittsburgh because my dad got called up, and then he got sent to Double-A, and we had to drive to Sherbrooke. That all happened one summer,
Right.
And I'm in the back seat of the car, and we got the radio on, and I just fell in love with music ever since I can remember. And when I was about 6 or 7, I was toying with the guitar, and by the time I was a teenager, I was addicted to it, and I was playing every day. And I took a guitar on every road trip when I played ball. Every one of my teammates that was musically inclined eventually became a roommate, and we would jam all night. And it was just, I don't know what it is, and it's just as much of a sickness as me wanting to be, elite as a baseball player. And I don't know if that's just an innate thing in me, but, I keep trying to improve, and I keep trying to learn new songs and learn new techniques. And, I don't know what it is. And now that my 16-year-old is so into it, it's really gratifying when we can sit around, and we do it a couple nights a week and just pull the acoustics out, and I'll play a song that I wrote, and he'll do a lead over it. And, we're just, it's just been going in the backyard with Pops and playing catch when I was a kid. It's just a different way of connecting. But to answer your question, I think music chose me. I've heard other people say that. I didn't choose it; it chose me. I was going to do it, and if my left elbow locks up, I'll learn how to play slide guitar. You know what I mean? I'll figure out a way to adapt to keep playing music. I'm just wired that way, I guess.
Nice. Yeah, I remember. My dad was in the military, and I remember cross country trips and. You develop love for, mine is classic rock, the Beatles, Zeppelin,
right.
Stuff that you just hear on just normal top 40 radio, Manfred Mann and stuff like that. And yeah, music and baseball go hand in hand.
Totally.
And, which leads me to...
there's a rhythm. There's a rhythm in baseball. And watch every single batter and watch every pitcher, and they're both trying to establish a rhythm.
Yep.
Okay. And why does the batter swing his bat back and forth? in his while he's preparing. And now you see these guys like Ichiro's classic where he sticks the bat out, and then at the exact moment, when the pitcher makes a move, then he brings it back into his stance. But that is a rhythm that is trying to be established. And I will tell you, and that song that I did, that punk song, was at 210 beats per minute. Well, getting the A chord to the G chord to the way the chord to do it in the perfect timing is no different than hitting a 95-mile-an-hour fastball on the sweet spot of the bat. Hitting it with a little quarter inch of the round to the round. You know what I mean?
Yep.
It's like a very similar thing. Now it's vastly different in how you get there, but the sense of timing that's involved is what I'm talking about. Like, if you don't have that sense of timing, you have all these great physical skills, you still can't hit, and you still can't play music. So I don't know what it is, but I notice athletes tend to, nearly all of them, we used to joke that the pitchers couldn't dance, some of them, because they were kind of the non-athlete dudes,
Yeah.
But most of the guys have, and that's why music in the clubhouse, we would get in fights over it. We'd have to actually put stuff like a daily, okay, it's rock today, it's Latin today, it's country today, it's hip hop today, or else we were all going to just blast each other out, So, but that's how important it is to us. When we're traveling, we were traveling on the bus, the headphones were on. It was dead quiet, except for the muffling of a few. You could hear a couple songs coming through some headphones, but everybody was in their own little world.
Right. Well, and today, your hitters, they have walk-up songs, and
right.
Your pitchers, they have entry songs and stuff like that. Absolutely. And
my walk-up song my first year was Guns N' Roses' "Paradise City."
Right.
But it got me too pumped up when it went into that fast part, And I'd end up swinging at the first pitch every time, so I had to change it to "Life's Been Good So Far," the Joe Walsh song.
Yeah.
A little mellower, that cool little guitar riff. It got me into the right place, not too high and not too low. It's not Careless Whispers, but it's
right.
it was a nice mellow song. But I totally believe in all of that.
I find it funny, we talk about walk-up songs all the time. What would your walk-up song, and mine varies. There's a lot of times, I want it to be something stupid to get into, the defense's head, and
right,
for a while
right.
It was like Barbie Girl by Aqua. Okay, a song I totally love, and, it's just off the beaten path. But lately it's been Lunatic Fringe by Red Ryder, that beginning.
There you go.
And so that is, but listening to some of the Cottonmouth King stuff, there's some nice riffs that I could see being some good walk-up music.
Yeah, one of their old classics is called "Bump."
Yeah,
and I can't remember who it is, but there's a guy. I think it was he was on the Red Sox at the time. I can't remember what player, but the guys know, and they were bragging about it, that he was using that as his walk-up song when he played for Boston. And I can't remember who it was right now, but yeah, that's great to hear. And I was. Like I said, I was really happy when I heard the album for the first time, and I listened to some of those. And there's a lot more that hasn't been released from some of the other artists in their crew. And I have a song on this guy's. They're called C4 and Mickey Grits. They're a young act that's coming up, and their album they only have an EP out, but I'm on the full album when it comes out. Again, my song is the rocker of their collection. I'm kind of like the rock man of that label at this point, so that's kind of cool too. So.
That is pretty cool. Hey, are the Cottonmouth Kings, are they baseball fans, by the way?
They all play basketball. They all met, actually, as basketball players. They are baseball fans, and even some of them have the MLB package on their phones, and they watch the games all the time. But they all met playing. They actually like baseball better than basketball, watching it.
Right.
But they all came from my high school and then the rival high school. And they were a few years apart, and musically they were apart, and it was kind of cool. The guys that were more my age came at it from the punk angle, and the younger guys came at it from the rap angle, and they were like chocolate and peanut butter, it matched perfect, and then their career was born over 20 years ago. Now they've been together,
So, yeah, we might have to talk about trying to get me in contact with those guys. I'd love to get them on the show and talk about their album and talk about baseball a little bit. And, I've seen some interviews of them. They seem pretty cool guys. And, of course, groups like the Bloodhound Gang, stem from them. And so who doesn't like the Bloodhound Gang? I mean, come on.
Exactly. And they know, like, for example, they came up with Papa Roach, and they actually had like a deal, like, and they've all kept to it, where they would help whoever made it first would help the other band kind of get out there. And so when Papa Roach was first, getting the bigger venues and the bigger shows, they would have the Cottonmouth Kings come in and open for them.
That's great.
That's pretty cool. Yeah.
So one last story before we got to go. So you have this ongoing, I don't know, it's a fun deal with Brad Auspice, and I love when you post pictures of it. Tell us about it.
Okay, and so Brad and I played against each other in 1990. He was with the Yankees, and we were in the Carolina League, and I was with the Mariners, and we went to their town, and like right by our hotel or something. I think it was early in the season, so they were staying at the hotel also, and we all were at the same place to eat and having drinks, and Brad and I are the catchers, so we're sitting there talking, and before I know it, we get to be buddies, just that one night, and then of course I played against him for the rest of the season, and we got to continue to and then the card came out a couple years later, and I ran into him. I can't remember where I ran into him. I ran into him somewhere, and he's like, "Have you noticed I write on your face?" I'm like, "What?" I'm like, "Yeah, you do that on purpose." He's like, "Well, yeah, when I get the card first, I'm like, "Well, I'll write on your face if I get it first." He goes, "Deal." So since we both saw each other, it must have been it was 92 because I broke my wrist and I was at a Dodger game and I saw him there, and we talked about it, and yes, ever since the card came out, and I guess it was it now 20-something years later or whatever, but yeah, he and I, the first one he gets the card, now he's the manager of the Tigers, and we're still playing this childish game with each other, but it's fun, and it's funny, there's a baseball thing on Facebook where they post the cards that they got from signed guys, it's like hey, look who I got today, and so I remember writing a big one on Brad's neck, and it kind of got out of control a little bit, and the guy posted that one. I started laughing because that was probably my most overtly brutal, slashing of Brad's face, but there it was, right there on Facebook. So
that's funny. All right, once again, Jim Campanis Jr. Hey, Jim, thank you for coming on again. Let's do this again soon.
Absolutely, thank you, Norm.
And I'll be in touch with you. And thank you for coming on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, I want to pick you up on that when my book comes out. Get on the show one more time and let everybody know.
Absolutely, sounds good.
All right.
All right. Have a good day.
Thank you.
All right. Once again, Jim Campanis Jr. So we got to run. We got George Genovese coming on at 5:15, and this is going to be an interview you don't want to miss. So I'm Norm. That is Brian. We are sponsored by baseballisms.com. Baseball America apple pie. If you like what I'm wearing, check them out. Baseballisms.com. Great guys up there in Portland. Also sponsored by baseballdudes.com. To be the best, you must train like the best. Chris Gazelle up there in Vancouver, Washington. We also are sponsored by Mitch Canham with Base by Pros, building an athlete's sports education. Check them out, basebypros.com. Mark Canham, hey, I just ordered some new shirts with the new Clubhouse logo on it, Clubhouse Chatter logo. Mark Canham, MDM Designs. We are also on yamhilltoday.com every time we broadcast. And if you want to sponsor the show, send me an email, normbo18.com. gmail.com. You can find us on Twitter, Clubhouse Chatter, 1T. We're on Facebook, YouTube. We're also on iTunes. Check us out. Spread the word. We got a passion for baseball. I want to share it. Once again, I'm Norm. That's Brian. Thank you. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.